Hello and welcome to another trip report. This time from Bern in Switzerland to Frankfurt in Germany. It's on an ICE train. These are the high-speed trains of the German state-owned railway company DB. This train started in Interlaken. I do have a video where I featured this railway station as well, and continues to Berlin. I also have a video where I featured this railway station. Anyway, for now I will show you the railway station of Bern, show you the trains, and I think these are the InterCity Express type 1 or type 2. I'm not sure, but I hope so, because I haven't featured this in my videos yet. Show you the train, and after that I'll show you some views from the train. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up on YouTube, and if you like to see more train related videos, subscribe to my channel. For now, let's roll the intro. Before I start this video, a quick comparison on this route on the environmental impact if you're traveling by train, car and plane. Of course, trains will not clean the air, but the environmental impact if you're traveling by train is way lower than any kind of other transportation. Unless you decide to walk, cycle or swim. The upper part is about the entire route for this train, and the lower part is about the section that I'll be taking today on this train. We arrived in Bern with an intercity train that came from Geneva and will continue its way to St. Gallen. We took that train from Lausanne, but there will be a video about that as well. At the moment we left the train and went into the railway station, I ended up over here. At first I thought this was the main railway station, but this would be quite small, and especially for a city like Bern. Although Switzerland doesn't have a capital, Bern is the place where the central government is. And it's also the 5th city of Switzerland. And if you know Switzerland a little bit, they don't have really big cities, but their railway stations, they're quite good, and especially in the bigger towns. But I went for a little wander at this section of the railway station. Over here there's a bus stop, a parking garage for bikes is located over here as well, and if you walk a little bit more towards the direction of the street where I'm heading to right now, you'll also find trams. I think these trams will end up at the front of the railway station though. At this spot there's a taxi stand as well, and lots of people park their bikes over here, even though there is an official parking garage for bikes. Some extensions of the railway station took place at the moment I recorded this, so therefore I first thought that this section over here was a temporary spot of this railway station. By the way, the railway tracks 49 and 50, they are a little bit further away. Even from this point you have to walk a bit, and especially if you go from the main hall. This is Switzerland, so passenger service information is very good given throughout the railway station. You find these screens all over the place, and near the main entrance there's a big screen that will host this information as well. From the spot where I just filmed first, you find elevators, escalators and stairs between the platforms and the upper part. The tunnel that will link the main hall with the tracks doesn't have elevators or escalators, but only stairs and a ramp. But this ramp is not steep at all. Within the tunnel you find lots of places where you can have a sit, and right next to these points you also find departure screens. Well, this is Switzerland, passenger service information is very good. Within the tunnel there are some shops, but if you walk a little bit more towards the central spot of the railway station, so near the main entrance, you will find an awful lot of shops. This feels more like a shopping mall than a railway station, to be honest. And if you go out of this railway station, so if you go up here and walk straight on, you'll be in the city center right away. At least I think you're in the city center right away. If you know this, just let me know in the comments. I didn't have time to explore more than only the railway station, because I had to take my connecting train to Frankfurt. Well, the train continues to Berlin, but will only take it to Frankfurt. One thing that's pretty obvious for Swiss railway stations, near the main entrance you find a big screen that will host information about departing trains. And something I really like within Swiss railway stations, at least for the bigger railway stations, are the booking halls. This is not just a place where you can buy train tickets, but also buy an awful lot of railway related souvenirs, money exchange, etc. I was looking for a specific thing I saw in one of the previous spots, And back then I thought like, I can buy it later on. But that was a Swiss map of all public transport. I just really like maps and public transport in general. So therefore I took a closer look over here. But at the moment I saw it, I noticed I didn't have enough time to buy. I was browsing and recording at the same time. So I can show you as much as possible in terms of what they have for railway related souvenirs. But for now it's really time to go to the train. In the hall where you'll find the entrance to the platforms, you will find screens that will host information about the first upcoming departing train from there. At the moment you're at the platform, you also find bigger screens that will host the same information and also the train composition. The train composition will be combined on one screen with route information, as you can see here on the left. And something else on the left. It's my train. I will take this train to Frankfurt, it continues to Berlin and it started a little bit earlier in Interlaken. These are the ICE types 4. At the side of the train you will find route information, carriage number, train number, etc. Classes, but also what seat numbers can be found where. And facilities will be displayed with icons at the side of the train. At the platform there are letters and the composition screen will refer to these letters of the train, so you know what carriage will be where at the platform. At the moment I was at the platform, the train was already there and the train made a longer stop at this railway station. But if you're at a railway station where there's a short stop, you know where you have to stand. This might be useful, and especially if you have a longer train. And these trains, they can be quite long. The ICE Type 4 trains do come in different formations. The smaller ones have a capacity of 499 people. Most trains do have a capacity of 724 or 830 people. And you also find 13 car bigger ICE4 trains that can host 918 people. Within the ICE Type 4 you can also take bikes. There's only a small number of bikes you can take and you're obligated to reserve a spot for the bike. Regular intercity trains do have a higher capacity for bikes, so therefore they're a little bit more convenient for if you want to travel by bike. Or at least you have more spots and also more chances of taking your bike. Especially in the summertime, it might be quite busy with bike reservations. The second class comes in a 2x2 configuration. You find screens at the middle of the carriages that will host route information. Of course you find overhead luggage racks, but at several points at the beginning of the carriages, but also in the middle of the carriages, you will find special luggage racks. There are quite a lot of toilets within these trains. Near pretty much every end of each compartment you will find these toilets, and there's also a bigger toilet that can be turned into a nursery place for babies and is also wheelchair accessible. Everything works and it was clean, that's most important, right? Second class comes mainly in a 2x2 configuration, so 2 seats on both sides of the aisle. There are some solo seats, although there are not a whole lot of them, and you will find one toddler compartment. The toddler compartment was occupied unfortunately, so I couldn't film it over there. At the side of these seats you will find the seat numbers, and right next to that you will find a digital display within the seat that will give information from where to where seats have been reserved. It's not obligated to make a seat reservation, but I strongly recommend you to do this, especially for longer trips. However, if you have a promotional fare and mainly talk about spa price tickets, you're obligated to take that specific long distance train. The prices are based on the demand of passengers for long distance trains in Germany. I should make a dedicated video about train fares in, to, from and through Germany. The second class comes in different zones. This is for example the family zone, and at the side it will be written what kind of zone there is. Close to this you also find a spot for disabled people and the toddler compartment. The toilet that is located right next to this point is also wheelchair accessible and can be turned into a nursery space for babies. This is what you see quite a lot in trains, and therefore also the spots where people can go to with wheelchairs are pretty close to the spots that are especially designed for people traveling with very young children. For the toddler compartment, reservation information will be given at the side of this compartment. At the spot for railway passengers in a wheelchair, there's also an extra information button you can press to call the train staff when assistance is needed. You also find other zones, for example a quiet zone, but also zones that do have better mobile coverage and where it's socially more accepted if you have phone calls during your train ride. In second class you find one power plug per 2 seats, and most seats do come in an airline style or long distance bus composition. There's a small tray table in the seat in front of you, a magazine rack, and at the window you will find a sunscreen. You'll find this at all windows in this train. A small garbage can be found between the seats in front of you. I do have to say, these fold-out tables are not that big. I mean, you can work on a laptop from there, but it's not ideally. You also find some seats that do face each other, and in that case you find a bigger table between the seats. If you want to work, this is more comfortable, but you might have other guests or passengers that will sit next to you, so therefore I prefer the airline style seats. For the seats that do have a table in the middle, you find a garbage can at the side. And like I mentioned, between the seats you find one power plug, and right below that you will find the handle to recline the seats. Between the compartments, so near the doors, you find bigger garbage cans you can use to recycle your waste. Screens that will host route information, carriage number, time, etc. can be found both near the entrance doors of these trains and also throughout the train at the ceiling. They will also provide route maps, station information, connecting trains, etc. These trains are pretty energy efficient, they're pretty light and they can accelerate pretty fast. The top speed is only 250 km per hour though, what is not as fast as the older generation ICE Type 3 and the ICE trains that can go to France. Those trains can go up to 320 km per hour. In second class you won't find a footrest or reading lights. Personally I never use none of these, but some people really like it. Although the overall comfort of the second class product is good, especially for a long distance train, I have experienced nicer trains. Don't get me wrong, I like these trains, but I want to be honest in my videos. And when I say there are better trains out there, I feel like I should say this as well. However, these trains are pretty comfortable and they are both time-wise and in comfort a good alternative to flying. Between the second and the first class you will find the dining car. On the part of the second class there's this kiosk where you can pick up orders, and if you walk into the direction of the first class you will find this dining car over here. I'm a huge fan of dining cars, but for this trip we only went here for some coffee. The menu on ICE trains is pretty good by the way in general. For now, let's take a closer look at the first class. The first class have been clearly marked with a red stripe that says first class, and at the door you also find the number 1 if you're walking through the train to the first class. Over here the seats do come in a 2x1 configuration, so 2 seats on one side of the aisle and 1 seat on the other side of the aisle. There are no special compartments, so everything comes in an open compartment, and you also find different zones. There are no family zones over here by the way. Everything is basically the same as in the second class, but it's more spacious and the seats are more comfortable. For most tickets from, to and through Germany, seat reservations are included if you're traveling on first class. This doesn't count if you're traveling with the use of a rail pass, for example. In that case, you need to pay for a reservation. Once again, I should make a video where I tell you more about train fares through, from and through Germany, because there's so much to tell you about this, because Germany is quite an important country in the middle of Europe. For now, let's take a closer look at these seats. You find a tray table in the seat in front of you, a magazine rack and a footrest, sunscreen, and you'll find one power plug per seat. Something you will find here, but won't find in the second class, is a personal reading light. I also noted these slightly different seats in the first class. There's a cup holder and kind of a smaller magazine rack. I don't know exactly how to describe this. And of course, everything I mentioned in the second class, you will also find it in the first class. Apart from that, Free newspapers will be provided and you most likely get a little sweet during the trip. A cookie or a little chocolate. Free Wi-Fi is available throughout the train. First, second class and in the dining car. This will not only be an internet connection, but it will also link your mobile device to a full onboard entertainment system where you can read newspapers, magazines and also find live route information. The onboard entertainment system doesn't work if you're using a VPN though, but internet also works with the use of a VPN. It's a good connection by the way. For now I'll show you some views from the train, but before I do this, if you're interested in other trip reports I did, below the description of this video on YouTube you find a link to a map, and on this map you find all trip reports I did. The lines do indicate the routes. The train and ferry icons do indicate the station and ferry terminal reviews. Since I'm making more videos, there will be more lines added to this as well. For now, I'll show some views from the train between Bern in Switzerland and Frankfurt in Germany.
It. Come on now, we're making it. Haven't you heard that I like it? Haven't you heard that it feels so right? Haven't you heard, wanna try it? I'm getting in on your good vibe. To love stereo. Time's slow when you're feeling it. I know you need it. Touchdown, we're driving in. Come on now, we're making it. Haven't you heard that I like it? Haven't you heard that it feels so right? Haven't you heard, wanna try it? I'm getting in on your good vibe. This is what it's like to love in stereo.
So that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you do so, give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more train related videos, subscribe to my channel. See you on my next video. By the way, if you want to find out more about other railway stations where this train does call, I featured quite a lot of them and you can find them in the description of this video. If you want to support this channel financially, I also do have a Patreon account. You can go to patreon.com/Trainviking to find out more. But a like, subscription or a comment is also very much appreciated to help this channel grow and to convince more people to travel on a more sustainable way of transportation. Thanks for watching and see you on my next video.